Alright guys, I'm back up here where we were feeding bales when the grass was kind of dormant. As you can see, we've got good clover coming, good grass coming. Right here, I didn't feed a bale. Well, I think I did feed a bale here. Yeah, there was a bale fed here, and right here I sprinkled the winter rye before I fed the bale. So this winter rye is coming up through, you know, where the cows mucked up the ground a little bit. But you can see there's clover and stuff popping out of the ground. Winter rye is coming. You can see over here there's clover coming. I don't know if the alfalfa is going to make it though, because being in a wooded area, I don't think it's going to live a very long life. But you can see how much better it's looking where I fed the hay than what it looked like before. There's clover and alfalfa growing there. So, and then the one big square bale that I brought up here and fed was hay that was baled after it was pretty much dead standing. It had a lot of grass seed in it. Well, the seed that was in there is starting to sprout too. But this was all weeds, all the way to right up in here, right up along there. Well, now it's all grass and winter rye, and there's clover growing. So if you have to feed hay in the summertime because the grass has quit growing, you're better off feeding it in a place where you need the soil improved. I mean, this is just thick. It's so, you know, it's a foot tall or better. And now it's tall enough that it's tipping over. You can see down in the woods where I just sprinkled winter rye, which I'm sure it's the wind, the camera is just picking up all the wind. So that's what it's looking like up here. You can see I have some trees marked that are going to get cut down. I mark some of these elms and stuff so I know when I'm cutting, make sure I cut the right trees. A lot of these oak trees here, their leaves will stay on during the winter, or a bunch of them will. They'll just be brown, so it's pretty easy to pick out the oak trees in the winter. But the maple trees lose all their leaves, you know, and there's maple trees there, and usually it's pretty easy to pick out the maple trees by their bark. But there's some other trees in here that it's hard to tell once they lose their leaves. So I went through and kind of marked a bunch of them, and then like some of these big mature trees they're too close together, so I'll have to cut a few of them to open it up. But you can see around this tree here, this is one of them trees where when I made the video I was using a steel brush cutter. I cut all that brush down around here. Well, now you can see there's winter rye growing, there's clover growing, and some other stuff. I'd spread some seed out here. So now there's something else growing other than locust and whatever else, briars and stuff. And then that hillside going down, I went through there quick with the brush cutter and cut some of that and just sprinkle some seed. So there is stuff growing, and obviously the winter rye isn't going to stick around. It'll grow, the cows will probably eat it, and then it'll die. But a lot of this other stuff, like all that clover you see, and there should be orchard grass in there, there should be timothy, there should be Italian rye or annual rye, I don't remember which one it is. And then there's fawn fescue in this last seed mix that I got. I've never grown that before, but it's supposed to be, it was a pasture mix I bought, so supposed to be safe for cattle. But like here, I didn't spread any seed. You can see how bare it is. There's a little bit of woods grasses coming on their own, but I need to sprinkle some seed on here. You can see some of this locust and crap is coming back. Yeah, I need to spread some seed here, but that's kind of the difference. Or if you don't do anything and you do something, the difference here. In winterize is just it grows quick, gets established quick, creates a cover, and should hopefully choke some of the stuff out. And here we got a couple cherry trees that need to get cut down. And I've had some comments about cutting the trees, and people need to understand that I make a living raising cattle, and if the trees are too thick, grass doesn't grow. And if grass doesn't grow, I don't have anything to feed my animals. And I can't buy land for $2,000–3,000 an acre and not be able to put cattle on it. So these woods that I paid dearly for and I pay taxes on every year has to be able to support cattle. And that down there is too thick, nothing grows. That doesn't support cattle. But now if you can open it up like up in here and get grass to grow underneath the trees, it'll raise cattle. And I still have trees. I don't want to get rid of all the trees. People getting the idea that I want to clear the land and there's not going to be a tree left on it. No, that's not the case. I want trees here. I just want them thinned out so grass grows. I burn firewood. That's what I heat with. So I don't want all the trees gone. I want trees here to cut firewood. I deer hunt. I want trees here for the deer. I only deer hunt. I used to hunt for a lot of other things, but anymore it's just deer hunt and that's it. And you see all these brush piles that I have piled up? Those are piled up for a reason. There's birds that live in there. There's rabbits that live in there. I have those here for a reason. I could have burnt all them very easily, but the more small game I have here, the better this farm is going to be. We have predators here. We have a lot of coyote. We have wolves. And on many neighbors' trail cams, they've seen cougar on there. Well, the more habitat I have here for small game, the more small game are going to live here. And those predators are going to go after that small game before they go after my small calves. So it's a win-win. And if I ever get a wild hare and want to go rabbit hunting or, you know, hunting for something like that, I have it here. Not saying that I'm never going to, but you never know. So I don't want to sound like, you know, one of them guys that are, I don't want people to think that I'm just going to clear all the woods and there's not going to be a tree left. That's not the case. I'm just trying to thin it, get grass to grow, while still keeping a decent stand of trees, you know, and then still maintain wildlife habitat for the animals. As you can see around me, there's thousands of acres that this woods behind me is thousands and thousands of acres of woods that there's farms all the way around it, but it's one solid woods for miles, and it's over a mile wide. There's all kinds of habitat up there for animals, but if you go up in those woods, there is not habitat in there for small game. There's a deadfall tree here and there, but there's no brush piles like this that small game need, you know, to be able to hide from predators and everything else. And brush piles like this is where the rabbits, you know, have their little ones and protect their little ones until they're big enough to be out on their own. Well, up in those woods, there's not that kind of habitat. You know, there's, like I say, there's a downfall tree here and there that gives them a little bit of protection, but nothing like these brush piles. They get in there and they're good. It takes a fox or a coyote a lot of work to get into one of these brush piles to get one of them little animals out. And so I don't want anybody thinking or getting the wrong idea that I'm trying to clear all this land and not have trees. That's not the case. I just want to open the trees up, open the canopy up a little bit so I can get grass to grow underneath the trees. And the trees that I have picked out to get rid of, you know, like this tree in a couple years is gonna fall over and die anyways. So these cherry trees don't grow for that long. Here I do actually have some decent cherry trees, but they're either gonna go to heat my house in my shop, or they're gonna get cut down. My father-in-law takes them and he makes nice furniture out of them. So it's not a total waste. And the other thing, these leaves on here are poisonous to cattle. I'm kind of thinking the way they are right now, they're poisonous. During the summer, if they're green, the cattle eat them, they're not as bad. But once they start dying or shriveling up, they're high in prussic acid and whatever else, and it's poisonous to cattle. Well, they can leave. You know, all these big birch or poplar trees that grow fast, great firewood. Get them out of here. But I want to keep the oaks and the maple. Oak and maple are two trees that belong in Wisconsin. There's so many of these places that clear land and then they plant pine trees back. Well, yeah, some pine trees are native to Wisconsin, other ones are brought here. And there's no hardwood stands. I mean, everything's getting planted into softwood or pine trees and stuff like that. So, and I make maple syrup, so I like having maple trees around here. And maple is awesome firewood. It grows fast. Oak trees grow slower. I don't cut a lot of oak for firewood. I will if I have to, but a lot of it, I want the oak here for acorns for the wildlife. And a lot of the oaks, I don't cut them down as big trees. I wait until a limb falls off of them and then I cut the limb up for firewood. I don't like splitting any wood if I don't have to. And like there's a tree I cut down last fall. That'll be cut up for firewood. And I have other trees here. This trail's going to get opened up more. There's a couple maple trees there I'm going to have to cut down. I want to be able to drive tractors up and down this trail here to get over to that pasture. I have trees planted all the way around the perimeter because I don't want access to that field from the road anymore. And I want privacy from the road. There's been a number of people that have cattle that have been shot from the road. So I kind of figure if animals can't be seen from the road, they're out of sight, they're out of mind, shouldn't have as many problems. And I like privacy. I make YouTube videos for the world to see, but when I'm not recording, I don't want every Tom, Dick, and Harry driving by and be able to see every little thing I'm doing, so I want privacy. That's why I planted trees. And I plant trees for firewood. I plant trees for privacy. I plant trees for wildlife habitat. I plant trees for wind blocks. So that's just kind of a little bit what's going on here. And this is what it's looking like with improving it. You can see all this clover growing here. It wasn't here before. I planted it. And I did not work the ground up to get established. It's all broadcast on top, and keep your fingers crossed that it rains in a timely fashion, which I have really good luck planting stuff in the fall, especially, you know, grasses and clover like that, because in the fall it seems like we do have a fair amount of moisture. In the spring we get moisture, but lately it seems like we get torrential downpours, and then that doesn't do you any good. But yeah, I mean, look at how green that is, how much stuff is growing there. In this winter the cows are going to graze it, and you have all that clover and stuff coming up underneath. Well, if the cows come through and eat the winter off, then it sets it back so the clover can grow up. So the winter the cows should be able to graze off first, get them out of here. Then the clover is already established, but it's still small or younger. That'll give it a chance to grow, and then when the cows come back through, we'll have clover and the other grasses to eat that don't grow near as fast as winter does. But yeah, it's a work in progress, and you know, over the course of God knows however many years it's going to take to open this up enough that, you know, grass grows all the way through. It's going to be a slow process, but it is what it is. And the cows do a pretty good job of opening the brush up in the bottom, so they help a lot. Goats would be awesome, but I don't know how I'd ever keep goats here. Number one, my fences aren't right. Number two, there's too many predators. I have a neighbor right across the road milks goats, and they have their goats locked in buildings because they have coyotes and stuff come in here and try and kill them. So I can't really use goats to clear the land or clear the brush. So, and here's another pile. I mean, there's rabbits in there. I have all kinds of pheasants, ruffed grouse. There's all kinds of birds around here that, you know, they need places to hide. So that's kind of what I have going on. But you know, I wanted to show that I had some questions about how this is looking and an update on it. And it's September 28th today, so this is what it's looking like. And now I don't plan to graze this off this fall. I have that field on the bottom. Now that I closed it off, I could get in there if I wanted to. I could drop the fence to the ground and drive over the fence to get in there with a fertilizer buggy, but I really don't want to, so I'm gonna let this growth grow and let the snow knock it down, press it to the ground. It'll be mulch on top of the soil for next year to help next year's crop grow. And a lot of that orchard grass that's down there right now, it's still growing, but it's not growing like it would during the summer. And right now it's putting a lot of energy down into the roots. It's growing deeper roots, and by leaving it, it's going to create the mulch on top of the ground, and it's going to make the roots stronger. So next year it should grow even better. Fertilizer would help, yes, and that's why I'm trying to open up this trail up here. I'm trying to let them trees grow without disturbing them, so they can get established for, like I say, wind block, privacy. And the idea is all those screen poplars that I planted will grow really fast. It says 3 years, average they're 12 foot tall. Well, if I can get them planted, get them, you know, 2-3 years old, they're gonna start creating a little bit of shade. And then I can go in there and plant blue spruce or white pine or something that makes a better wind block and a better privacy screen. So then they're gonna provide protection for the pine trees once I get them planted, and in the meantime they're gonna get a privacy block built faster. Any trees that I've ever planted that aren't in the woods take forever to grow, but now I have pine trees that I planted up here in the woods because I had extra ones, and they grow like crazy. And what's the difference? They have more shade from the sun, which keeps the soil cooler. So if I can get these other trees growing first and then come back in and plant pine trees, hopefully they'll do all right. I have spent thousands of dollars in the last however many years trying to plant pine trees, and every year they die. I mean, I'm talking, I've planted thousands of trees and every one of them is dead. And watering them doesn't work. But now, when I had trees left over and planted them up in here, they do just fine. So it's either got to be the shade from the other trees, or it's got to be the cooler soil from the shade from the other trees, which, when it's shaded, the ground holds more moisture. It's got to be that or a combination of it. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. And I'm planting trees where I want them. So, but this is what's going on. This is what it looks like. So, and it's going to be windy again because now I'm over on this point. But a year ago, this did not look like this. This looked like them other spots where there was nothing but brush and weeds growing. Yeah, there wasn't even much for weeds growing. So yeah, and I did run the brush cutter through here, just cut the smaller stuff down quick. And you can see there is some winter rye growing, and there is, like that grass there is native in the woods. I don't know what it is, if it's orchard, a different type of orchard or what it is, but maybe not. That might have been planted by me, I'm not for sure. Because I planted down here last fall, but I didn't really plant over here, but that doesn't mean the rain or something didn't wash some seed down here. But there is native wood grass. I don't know what it is. It doesn't grow very good, but there is some here. The ground is somewhat protected. So you can see it is starting to green up a little bit. So the biggest thing is I don't want the side hills to water. wash. Because if you get big washouts and ravines, it's hard to fix them. Nothing grows here. There's not a lot of topsoil here. There's a lot of shale once you get down there, and not a lot of stuff grows in the shale. So anyhow, guys, that's what's going on. Hopefully that clears up a little bit of what I have going on that I am not trying to clear my land 100%. I'm leaving trees. I'm just thinning. So anyways, that's what she looks like. So please comment, rate, and subscribe. Constructive criticism, always welcome. Just hopefully that clears up a little bit of, you know, the misconception or whatever that people think that I'm clearing it to not have a tree left. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.